We are live. So let's wait for a couple of minutes for everybody to join. So good evening everyone. This is Bhavya Vajrapu. I'll be hosting a special guest today, Mr. Shekhar Babu Bachanapalli. He is a mountaineering guru and motivational speaker, and he is also a recipient of Tenzing Norgay National Adventure Award. He founded Transcend Adventures, which is India's most preferable adventure company, which is specialized in high altitude mountaineering. We also got a lot of questions from all of you. He'll be joining in a couple of minutes and we'll hear out his extraordinary story. Let's see if he's live and I'll be adding him. Hello, Shekhar. Good evening.
Hi. Good
Hi.
evening. Very good.
I'm so glad you're here to meet Hyderabad Trekking Club audience. So you are able to hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Great, Shekhar. First of all, how are you holding up with the lockdown?
It's, I think after 7 years, I'm here in India during
Okay.
summer, April and May.
I'm
Otherwise,
sure.
every year I live in the mountains high up on altitude. So, can say really enjoyed summers sitting at home after 7 years.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything is shut as far as adventure and the travel is concerned.
Yeah,
So,
it
all are
is.
closed. Nothing to do.
Let's hope all this, gets over very fast and we'll be able to be outdoors soon. So since, most of us are not able to travel, so we thought we'll give some inspiration to our audience. So that is why we invited you. I want to thank you again for joining today before we start off the session. So Shekhar, you're an inspiration to many, but we also want to know what is the inspiration for you behind the Everest. Can you tell us a little bit about it? How it all started?
It's not Everest actually. It's all started through my NCC. My senior in the
Okay.
NCC is Parmesh Kumar. He's also from Hyderabad. He is the man who
Oh,
got
okay.
me into these activities. Initially, I did rock climbing for 2-3 years. Hyderabad, especially Maulali, where we started long back in 97, 98, 99. So, 3 years fully into rock climbing.
Okay.
And then through NCC, we got a chance for basic mountaineering course, which we thought, okay, we'll learn little more on the rock climbing, so went for the course. And then after the basic course, there are several things we came to know about, like mountains, what it is. See, till that time, I didn't even know anything about mountains, like zero about mountains. I know like nothing about mountains. It's only rock climbing what I know. All the climbing, the belay system or the anchor system and all. But when I attended basic course, then it gave me a lot of knowledge. Then I continued after basic course, then advanced course, then alpine climbing course, then search and rescue, then method of instruction course. Then we continued the courses.
Okay.
Along with the courses, simultaneously with our course batchmates only. Like first, our basic course batchmates, we did one expedition on our own. And later on, after advanced course, along with the advanced course batchmates, we did one expedition.
Where was the expedition, Shekhar? First expedition?
No, my first summit was part of advanced mountaineering course. That's Mount Baby Shivling, which is next to Shivling. We attempted other peak, but due to heavy snow, we have to shift the mountain at last minute. And then my first expedition with my basic course members was Island Peak, which is close to Mount Everest. It was in 2003. That is the time when Indo Army Everest massive expedition was going on, and
Okay.
Colonel
Yeah.
Ashok was leading that expedition. So we been to Mount
Great.
Everest, we
Yeah.
stayed with them for one day, and then we came back and climbed Island Peak. I mean, if you go to Everest Base Camp, after 8 days trek, you have to divert the route for Everest Base Camp to left, and the Mount Island Peak is on the right hand side. It's called Injatse
Okay.
also.
Okay.
But we went to Everest Base Camp, then we came back for the climb. At
Great.
that time, I thought, okay, first time I saw Everest and spent some time with climbers, almost a day with the Indian Army team. I mean, that time it really didn't click. We should do Everest. But after pursuing courses, doing especially the alpine climbing course, and doing several other expeditions, then one day we decided, okay, why don't we try Everest? So that's how all went.
So that's how
But
it
before
started.
it's need a lot of experience, a lot of technical skills, a lot of knowledge to do that. See, these
Yeah.
days there are online systems available. Modernization of the equipment is also being done. Like a lot of modern equipment available, and information is also available. But when we did, there is nothing available. Either we have to go to instructor or to the institute, or we have to call up some climber and ask the information. And that
I'm
too,
sure.
that
I'm
time,
sure.
entire in South India, there are hardly any climbers. So it took me almost from the time I did basic mountaineering course, my Everest climb was almost 6 years, 6 years back. But 6 years, we gained a lot of experience.
Yeah, as you said, looking at the pictures and seeing or hearing somebody climb Everest, it sounds very nice and beautiful. But I'm sure it is not that easy because the weather is extreme, the conditions are extreme, and they are not meant for humans. So, how do you handle the extreme weather conditions when you are doing trekking?
First, what we did is we did a study. One of my friend who was my basic course senior.
Yeah.
Whoever attended a mountaineering courses will know what is a course senior is. So he was from Nepal. So he used to work with a Australian-based adventure company called Peregrine. So he was a trek leader. He also wanted to become an expedition leader in that company. So we both have planned the expeditions together. All expeditions, whatever I did till my Mount Everest, we did together.
Okay.
So first study says like first your body should be able to
accustomed to the
minus 40 degrees. The first requirement.
Yeah.
Second requirement is what about your lung capacity? Whether after a death zone, which is beyond 8,000 meters, whether we'll sustain or not, we don't know. See, we are the people from plus 40 degrees.
Exactly. Entire South India, I think we can't even imagine what minus 20 will be like. Yeah.
So, and directly going to the Everest, financially not viable at that time. Though it was like 13 lakhs something it was costing those years. So what we did is we planned a 6,000 meter peak in winter. So in summers, what would be the temperature on the 8,000 meters on the dead zone? The same temperature would be there in the winters at the 6,000 meters. So we planned a peak called Mount Chulu West, which is 6,400 meters peak in Annapurna region. So we climbed it in January. So that expedition we did with my 4 friends who were my alpine course and advanced course batchmates. That expedition taught us a lot. See, course is different. When you climb in the course, there are instructors, there's a gang of 30, 40 people. Nowadays, it's 70 people are with you. So if anything goes wrong, they help you or they support or instructor guides you.
Yeah,
but when you are in
expedition,
it is you to decide, okay, now ice slope is this. So which anchor I should use? What is the snow condition? Which angle I should put the anchor? What technique I should use? And everything is on our own. So our own decisions it makes whether expedition is going to be successful or going to be the other side. So that had taught us a lot, but successfully climbed. So we realized, yes, we can. Our bodies can bear minus 40 degrees temperature. Then the second question was whether we'll be able to cross beyond death zone or not, 8,000 meters above or not. So the lowest budget peak at that time, which you can do in out of 14 8,000-meter peaks, was Choyu.
Okay.
Mount Choyu, it's the world's sixth highest peak. Uh, so in 2006, we attempted that one first. I'm sorry, 2005. 2005, we attempted Choyu, myself and Pasang, who is my Nepal friend. So both we went on our own. Like, so we didn't take any support. Support in the sense, no team, and no books, no porters, no Sherpa. Myself and Pasang only. We are only two. So we climbed up to, it is 8201 meters, Mount Choyu, world sixth highest peak. We crossed 8,000 meter and we realized that what the oxygen cylinders we are carrying are not sufficient.
Okay.
See, we don't have any knowledge. It just we learned from somebody and we carried everything, arranged ourselves everything. Everything we carried. Like from base camp, you carry a load, dump in camp 1, come back to base camp and wash all the bowls, what you ate in the breakfast in the morning, wash, clean up everything, cook, eat and sleep. And next day morning, get up, clean everything, cook, eat breakfast, and next day again go for the load ferry. Same to camp 2 and camp 3. And we crossed 8,000 meter, then we realized our oxygen what we are carrying is not sufficient.
Not sufficient.
Also, Pasang has some issue with the eyes, not snow blindness. We were not equipped also well. One is financial reason, another thing is knowledge. So from 8,000, almost 8,050 meters something, we returned back.
Okay.
After returning,
you couldn't summit that time.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Then there were several people in the base camp, especially the leader from Alpine Ascents, who was leading the Choyu expedition, Lakparita. So he called us and he said, he gave us a lot of knowledge, Gyan. You can say, this is not the 8,000 meter peak is done. This is the style where 6,000 meter or 7,000 meter peaks can be done, but above 8,000 meters, that is dead zone peaks, can't be done like this.
Just like that, yeah.
Just like that. So from there, we started doing a research, and slowly in 2007, we made it. But 2007, we attempted with a confidence that I already crossed 8,000 meters and I already tested my body in minus 40 degrees temperature. With that confidence, in 2007, I attempted Everest and we got succeeded in the first attempt itself.
Okay, that's great. So what was your feeling like? It's literally the top of the world, right? So what was your exact feeling when you were, on the top and when you were able to finish the summit?
Okay, if you see the history of Everest, major summits will be in the May month only. Most of the summit, 98% of the summits in the month of May.
Okay.
But
because of the temperature? Because the temperature will be little comfortable. That is why they do it in May. Okay.
And the opening and the weather condition and everything. But I did on 5th June. Whereas I climbed from north, Chinese route, the northern route. And there are 2 other Australians who came from the Nepal route.
Okay.
So we met on the summit, said hi, hello. And it was not so exciting for me. To be honestly, there was no excitement when I was on the summit. We did the pictures and we were rushing back because we know 5th June we submitted, and from 5th June afternoon there is a jet stream wind coming up and hitting on the mountain. So I have to go back before evening.
Before that. Okay.
So once I reached base camp, advanced base camp, which is 6,400 meters, then we celebrated. Then the excitement came, yes, I made it. My dream come true, and I made it. Everything we enjoyed. But to be honestly, even no feelings on the summit at that particular time because we were in a hurry.
Too exhausted.
Not exhausted. We were mentally stressed to go down because of the weather, and there is no backup. Also. Again, Everest also, there's no team with me. It's only me and my Sherpa, Nimanuru. And me and my Sherpa only. No backup team, no radio communication, nothing. So we are only 2. So we had that stress. Maybe we carried that stress while starting the summit push itself. So it's carried on. But that excitement, the success, everything we enjoyed once we reached the advanced
base camp. Great. Yeah. So Shekhar, what are the risks? I hear, as a travel lover myself, I hear a lot of news on, so many people who try to attempt summit. Most of them, come back not everybody can do the summit. So what are the risks involved in, doing the Everest summit? Because
See,
that's important for everybody to know. So,
it's not only Everest. You take any mountain. What we say is, it is the mountain which has to accept you. We have seen several climbers. There's a climber
mm,
who attempted Everest 10 times. He couldn't. 11th time also he came, but he did all other peaks, including K2.
okay.
Sometimes it happens that summit you can see in just 5 minutes you are there, but weather goes bad. You have to turn back.
Mm,
Turning back and not submitting is don't take it as it's not success. See,
of
a
course, of
person
course. That is
if a
definitely.
person turn back from expeditions, they should have a lot of mental capability to take that decision. To okay, now I am done. I'm going back. First,
Mm,
second thing, success is purely depends on your preparation and your logistic support and how well you know about the mountain. These three are dependent on your success. It's not only Everest, any mountain, which
mm,
season you when you should give a summit course, how well you are prepared, whether you know about your body or not, and how well you are equipped, and how well is your supporting team. So
yeah.
all these things depends on your success. It's not just your preparation; it's a teamwork. Basically, mountaineering, a climbing mountain itself is a teamwork. There are
Teamwork.
solo climbers, but it's a teamwork.
I liked what you said. Like the mountain should accept you for you to do the summit. And I also like, and I think it's important for everybody to know that success is not actually summiting, any mountain. I think it's the experience, and nobody should be disappointed just because they are coming back, because it's not just their, uh, you know, thing, but weather conditions should support, and so many other factors also should support. Great. So 2, 3 days back itself, Hyderabad Trekking Club team posted that you'll be going live, and we've got a lot of questions from our audience. So I'll just open those questions.
Yes.
And Shekhar, I personally wanted to ask you, I love solo travel a lot. So why did you choose to do Everest solo? So that's a question from my side.
No, it's not solo, but there's a Sherpa with me. So it is like
Okay.
no backup, no team, no group. It is
Yeah,
Sherpa
that is
and
what.
me. Because no one is there. That time, no one is there.
Okay.
The partner in the climbing is very important. He should be equally knowledgeable and equal fitness also should match.
Okay.
Otherwise, each other will become a burden for the other climber.
Just
So,
like any other travel, I think during traveling also most of the times same thing happens.
mm, so
Yeah.
there's no one available. One and second thing is one thing I realized in my winter expedition or the Chovayu what we are attempted. There is I have in my team what the expeditions pre-Everest expeditions I did. I have taken people who did courses much higher than me. But I
Okay.
realized just doing the course by seeing the certificate, you can't judge their knowledge.
Mm.
The basic knowledge what I have, the others don't have, even though they did much higher the courses and got a good grade. So until unless we don't see somebody on the field, on the mountain, what they do, we can't decide whether he'll be able to climb or not. It's the
Mm.
same thing there because there's no one who can come and join me first. And second thing is there's no budget also for so many people.
That's true. Yeah. And most of us, I think we know that this is expensive. So how expensive is summiting Mount Everest? And, is there any way people who are capable enough can get a scholarship or, get sponsors or things like that? Can you just give us information about it?
See, when we climbed, it was not that costly. But
Okay.
slowly, the governments, both the governments in China and Nepal, both have
Mm-hmm.
increased the royalties and the other logistics cost has been increased.
Okay.
Presently, climbing from Nepal side will cost somewhere about 25 to 26 lakhs, including everything, like equipment
Mm-hmm.
and logistics.
Okay.
Whereas from Chinese side, the North Pole route will cost us something about 30 lakhs plus.
Okay.
And there is a news that Nepal said also they increase the royalty from next year.
Okay.
So these days it's very costly affair,
Expensive. Yeah.
very much. And coming to finding sponsors, a couple of states are doing the projects under skill development
Mm-hmm.
because once you do some mountaineering or expeditions, they can be employed into any adventure project or they can start on their own some
Yeah,
setup.
that's true.
But finding a private sponsor, see, it is purely like other product sponsors only.
Mm.
You should be able to answer a guy or a corporate key what they will get by giving you the money. If you're able to
Got it.
answer that question, then see, you take any organization like Airtel or ONGC or anything, they spend a lot of money for marketing.
Yeah,
Even
that's
private
right.
organizations, even we see ads, Horlicks, Bonvita, they spend a lot of money for marketing. But
Mm.
whether they get the that much worth mileage from your expedition or not, if you're able to answer this question, then getting sponsorship is not a big problem.
Okay. Got it. Thanks for letting us know. So we have a question from Prashant 180. What is the ideal travel gear one should be traveling for high altitude trekking?
Different regions have different season, but
Mm.
generally spring and autumn in Himalayas, it is spring and autumn, like March, April, May, or September, October. September, October, mid November is preferable in the Himalayas. It's
Okay.
spring and autumn. Generally, for this,
Mm.
I'm talking about climbing. But the treks, there are a couple of treks which will open only in the June, July, August during monsoon
Mm-hmm.
only. It depends on
Okay.
which region they are going. Accordingly, the season is there.
So the gear depends on the season and which.
Region of the
Okay.
mountain they want to go.
Okay. Is there, this information, is it available somewhere for, mountaineering
Uh,
enthusiasts to check?
yes, with regard to the climbing, you can always follow Indian Mountaineering Foundation website, which will have the
Okay.
details, the best season, the route, everything will be given shared. Even somebody climbed previously, also that details also will be shared in their domain. So
Okay.
regarding the climb, information is available. Regarding the trekking, I think there are a lot of websites are providing now.
Of course,
Regarding
of
the
course. I think even on HTC also, they can, of course, contact us as well and we can give them information. Great. Rajita 97 has a question. So to become a mountaineering expert or to do the high altitude summits, any training or qualification is required? Is there any certification required before they go to the summit? They attempt to summit.
See, more than a certificate, see, certificate is to show to somebody, but more than that, I'll say the training and the preparation is required. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
somebody has to do the course, complete the course, and gain the knowledge. It is again, I'm repeating the same thing. Completing the course doesn't mean that you gain the knowledge.
Of
It's
course,
about
of
how much
course, yeah.
knowledge you have to climb the mountain. Whether you are sustainable on yourself, something happens, are you able to survive on your own? So, do you have a basic skills of how to climb? All these things are required. For
Hmm.
any mountain or any climb, 6,000 meter or 7,000 meter, above 8,000 meter, I prefer complete a course. It's not that only government institute or any foreign institute, anywhere, wherever you can learn basics. How to use crampons, how to wear the climbing shoe, how to use ice axe, how to use the anchor.
Hmm.
Basic skills are compulsory. That is must. Without basic skills, as a dependent on somebody, don't go to the mountains. Don't go to the mountains by depending on somebody. Go as yourself. You go with the basic skills. Though you take a guide and the Sherpa or a porter, but train yourself so as you can survive in case of anything.
Got it. Yeah. Great. Thanks for answering that. Santosh is asking, who inspired to, take this path? Who inspired you to choose this path? Is there a person or what inspired you? I think you.
Uh, There are actually I started mountaineering for as my passion, but otherwise I'm from IT background.
Okay.
I did Bachelor of Computer Applications 3 years and then MSc IS PG. So 5 years
Okay.
I studied only computer, nothing else.
Okay.
So, but I served in government department in the tourism department for 7.5 years. So, like 2007, I did Everest. 8, Chovayu, Shishapangma, Makalu. After all the peaks are done, due to
Mm-hmm.
some reason, I give a break.
Okay.
So when I gave a break, slowly I started going as a guide to some foreign companies to assist them
Mm-hmm.
during the
Okay.
breaks and the expedition smaller peaks. When I started guiding, then I understood that especially Indians will face a lot of issues when they're going for the climbs,
Yeah.
especially with the food or the culture or the facilities what they will get. So then there's a thought has come to why don't we do that? We don't.
Mm.
Why don't we fill that gap? What we have seen. See, you don't find any Indian breakfast available in the mountains.
Yeah.
So everywhere is like bread, butter, and jam. Even I did climb with the same condition, so I know. See, I can't eat. See, the pork they hang outside in the dining tent. Pork.
Yeah.
And due to in the daytime due to the sun the outer layer becomes so um, dark, it's sunburn kind of thing it will become, and then evening time they cut that outer layer and they eat it. That's
Okay.
how the furnaces are, but we can't do that. So I can't
Yeah.
eat a burger and climb a mountain.
That's
Basically,
true.
ultimately, I need a roti or the rice. So sometimes which will at least give a satisfaction. Yeah, I had food. So we have seen a lot of gaps, especially for the Indian climbers. Then
Yeah.
we thought, okay, we'll start and do something and support with our network. We started that, but later on it has become so huge that now we have kept 89 people on top of Everest from our organization. And more than 250 people have climbed the Kilimanjaro. And there are more than 100 on the Elbrus. So there are
Mm.
like 1,000 people who trained under us in the mountaineering. So
Great.
this is how we started and things.
So Pradeep is saying, do we need any certificate to join Hyderabad Trekking Club? No, Pradeep. If you're here, you're already part of the club, so you don't need any certificate to join Hyderabad Trekking Club. We have a question from Rashmi. Do mountaineering courses give the practical experience?
So what? Come again? Sorry.
Uh, does these mountaineering courses give practical experience as well?
Sorry, 1 second. Just sorry.
No problem. Yeah.
No. See.
Sitting opposite to the light.
Yeah. Sorry.
Great. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Rashmi. She's asking if the mountaineering courses give the practical experience as well.
Yes, it is. The mountaineering course is of 28 days. Then
Okay.
10 days, um, 8 days is the theoretical sessions they give in the institute, and rest of complete days you are on the mountain. They'll teach practicals are there. Practically, they take you to the mountains, then teach everything. There is
Okay.
it's 28 days. Out of 28 days, 19 to 20 days you are there in the mountains.
Hmm.
First 6 to 7 days is theory, and last 1 or 2 days they do a graduation ceremony. Otherwise,
Okay.
19 to 20 days you are on the mountain. They teach all basics practically, snow
Okay.
condition, ice conditions, and everything.
Great. Great.
What to wear,
Thanks for
what not
answering
to
that.
wear, what to do, what not to do, everything they
Everything.
teach.
Great. We have a question from Praveen. Why do people like to climb all these mountains when risks are involved? So,
It's the same the favorite answer because it's there. simple. It's because it's there, and we want to see from the. Everybody see the mountains from the bottom. From from low altitude, they say, "Are Baba, so huge mountain." But we want to
Yeah.
see the top of the mountain how things look. That is why
Yeah.
we climb.
Of course. Great. So we have one more question. How important is discipline in this field?
How important is
Discipline in this field of mountaineering.
I'm sorry, I think there's some network issue.
You're able to hear me okay now? I think we lost connection with Shekhar. Let's see if he can reconnect. Let's wait till he reconnects. Meanwhile, you can post your questions, and once he's back, I'll ask him the questions on your behalf. And for everybody who's asking when is trekking restarting again, so mostly it's July end. Of course, we'll be announcing it on our stories and on our posts, but it'll be resuming most probably by July end. Meanwhile, Aditya Deshpande is seeing he's new to the city and he's glad to found this group and we do meetups. So welcome to Hyderabad, Aditya. I'm sure you'll love the city. Yes, Hyderabad Trekking Club often does small meetups within the city and in the city outskirts as well. So you can stay tuned to this page and we'll announce all the events on our stories and on our posts. Rajkumar Chabra says that he's missing the adventure. Yeah, I think everybody who's on this page, I think they are missing adventure. And I'm sure we'll resume it soon. So Shekhar is back. Let me quickly add him to the live. Hi Shekhar, you're able to hear us okay? Shekhar? Yeah. You are able to hear me okay now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It's been raining badly since the past 2 days, so I think the network is little.
Especially this area, outskirts.
Okay, great. So good to have you back. So we have a question from Praveen asking how important is discipline in the mountaineering field?
Very much. I can say, tell me the top 3 requirements. First 3, I'll say discipline. It's
Okay.
very much required. It's like, if you're disciplined, you're alive. Otherwise, you're dead on the mountain. Simple. There's no second chance in the mountain. It's like dead requirement.
Okay, it's the only requirement. Easily. So how will be the schedule while you are taking the course? Like what time do you wake up and till what time you have to practice. When it comes to discipline, that is what matters the most, right? So what will be the life like, when you are preparing to summit?
In a simple words, all mountaineering institutes in India are defense are from the Navy. Colonel rank officer would be there as a principal, and most all the institutes are by defense. So you can understand how the discipline, the timing would be. 5:30 to 6:30 would be PT, 1 hour, and then fresh up time and a breakfast. Then if you're in mountain, then the practical session starts.
Okay.
You walk a glacier with the equipment and practice in the glacier and come back. And you have a lunch, and then the theory session would be there. And evening 1 to 1.5 hours, they leave for networking or just simply to do your own personal hygiene work.
Okay.
And dinner, after dinner, couple of times there would be a movie or the lecture, and then you lights off by 9:30. That's the general schedule. If you are in institute, the entire day would be theoretical sessions.
Okay.
If you are in mountain, so daytime would be the practical sessions, evening time would be theoretical sessions.
Okay.
See, because mountain generally after post 2 p.m. any mountains the weather goes bad. So
Okay.
that's why anything what you want to do in the mountain that starts early in the morning and finish, come back to either your base camp or to the next camp or wherever the safest area is there, you reach before afternoon. That is how we do even in expeditions also.
Okay.
Sometimes we climb in night time.
So it's
Most of the
almost
time we
like,
climb in night time in expeditions.
it's almost like, training for an army or training for a navy then. Sounds like. Yeah. Thanks for answering that. And our Hyderabad trekking team also has some questions for you. Okay. How is communication helping in today's climbing when compared to, when you summited? So how is the information helping these days?
I can't hear you properly. Hello?
Yeah,
Can you please repeat?
You're able to hear me better now?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot of information and a lot of communication is happening over the internet, right? So how important is that? How is that helping, today's mountaineering enthusiasts when compared to earlier?
See, earlier there are several serious climbers are there.
Yeah.
These days, I understood, as you said, what we call in our network as Facebook mountaineers. So they just read something on the website and some knowledge from the internet or the data collected, and they come directly to the trek or to climb something. See, even though you are going to the Stockongri, it is a mountain. Respect that mountain. And see, the emergency can happen anywhere. Though as an expedition, people reaching base camp, we don't consider it for serious. But the issue can happen even in on the way to base camp also. So having a practical experience is must. Don't come with a theoretical, only theoretical knowledge. See, as a mountaineer, you need theoretical knowledge and the practical experience. Only theoretical knowledge doesn't work. Practically, you have to go realize. First thing you have to know, if you are going to any high altitude or any mountain climbing, you have to know about your body. Whether what's the limit of your body, that is what you have to know. Once you say, boss, after this, my body doesn't allows me, then you turn back. But that point where your body allows or not allows, that is the point where you have to know. This is my limit. So, without practical experience, without practical knowledge, don't venture into mountains.
Yeah. Cool. That's some great advice. Thanks. So you go on, trekking to extreme conditions a lot. And we also have a question from somebody, how do you convince your family? So what is your family reaction usually when, you are away without connection, without talking to them for a really long time? So how do they react? How do you convince them?
See, initially when I did, my parents don't know actually कि mountaineering is so dangerous,
Okay.
such a serious sport. So they knows that Acha is going for some training and he is there. But when I'm getting married, I told her very frankly, this is what I do,
Okay.
and she accepted. So
You're
there's no
lucky.
issue.
You're very lucky.
And otherwise, this communication is there because we carry satellite phones all the way.
Okay.
So, but when I climbed at my time, due to financial issues also, we never carried so much of communication devices. There I did Everest with my Kodak KB10 camera. Kodak KB10, the 250 rupees camera, what used to come those days.
Okay.
So, but these days, communication is good. Satellite phones we carry.
Okay.
Even internet data comes on the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
No issue of communication.
That's an assurance, at least. That's a boon. One of the major fears for the family is like, what if we lose communication? But if satellite phone works, even the regular phone works, then I think it's a little better. Next up, we have Vinod is asking how to overcome AMS.
We have to repeat again.
So Vinod is asking how do we overcome AMS?
Okay. AMS, see, as per my data, though I am into the national body of the Indian mountaineering, we, as per data, what we have, there are a lot of accidents, or the deaths, or people risk happens because of AMS. Because people don't know when it is going to attack me. What is happening in my body. For AMS, it's very simple. You, again, as I said in answer to the previous question, you know about your body, how it is reacting. See, AMS, altitude mountain sickness, it comes when you're not acclimatized well on the mountain.
Yeah.
Now, acclimatization in the sense, for me, I may take only 2 days to acclimatize to 10,000 feet altitude. Somebody else may take only a day, but somebody else may take 3 days to get acclimatized to the 10,000 feet altitude. I'm just telling 10,000 feet as an example. So you have to understand how much time your body takes and do the movement accordingly. If you're not acclimatized sufficiently, you stay back at the lower altitude. The previous night where you have spent, go back to that place, stay there until you feel comfortable and drink a lot of water, lemonade, any type of liquid, and lemonade which will avoid AMS. And a lot of fluids, intake fluids.
Okay.
These are the two things, and your movement should be according to your body reaction.
Okay. Great.
See, we can't say that, okay, this is a fixed itinerary. Now you stay here 2 days and third day you're well acclimatized. 90% of the cases happens like that only.
Okay.
But for some cases, they may take 3 days. But their body reaction is such a way that they may take 3 days. Their acclimatization process may be a little slow. Or there is something called sickle cell syndrome.
Okay.
Anybody before if Godwin has that sickle cell syndrome, they never get acclimatized in the altitude.
Okay.
Only avoiding AMS is take a lot of fluid, approach very slowly into the altitude. See, to go to 8,000 meter will take 2 months.
Yeah.
So don't hurry because of your time and schedule and the budget. Go around, enjoy the trip and come back.
Okay. Great. Cool. We didn't know most of the things which you said, so thanks for letting us know. We'll be taking last few questions. Before that, most of the people were asking to do any mountaineering course or to attempt any summit. How can full-time working professionals afford to take a leave? But I think most of the corporate policies allow people to take a leave for that. So if you have or know any information regarding that, you can share it with us.
We do have a corporate people who come get trained under us for Everest, especially for 2 years.
Yeah.
There are people who get trained, and still there is a team. Corporate team is also coming. See, what I understood from the corporates is, if they take 1 month leave for their next of 11 months, they are in the office only. That's one.
Yeah.
But one thing I realized, even the corporates, when you achieve something, when you go and climb some mountain, even even your company where you're working, they're also very happy. They also share this so much. See, one of our employee doing the job and he did so much. They are also proud to tell everybody.
Of course.
So you have to present in such a way that you are doing the trip which is for everybody.
Value add to
and it will encourage policies also.
Yeah.
Exactly. And every expedition will change the perception what you about your life. There'll be a lot of change you will get. That is also one of the positive way where the corporates will think.
That's right. Yeah. I think if you're really interested and if mountaineering is your calling, I think it's not a very big task to convince your HR. That is what at least I feel. That's right. So just one last question we'll take, Shekhar, before we bid off. Is there, I think most of the questions we already covered. And before we say bye, do you have anything to tell to our audience which we didn't cover in this live?
See, whatever you do, I'll say, be prepared and know about the terrain, where you are going, what is required, and gather sufficient equipment. And don't go to any trip as a dependent person. See, I know what exactly STC is doing, and all the guides, most of the STC, no, all of the STC guides are well trained and well handle the clients.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And know the trips also, what STC does. So, but even for the trekkers who are coming for the first time, prepare yourself and come. Though there are guides, there are professionals, everybody is there, but prepare yourself before going. Know little about the terrain and carry the sufficient equipment, what they tell, and have a safe journey. Don't take any risk. See, already adventure itself is the biggest risk involved activity.
Yeah.
Risk again in the risk is like, you're risking your life.
That's
so
right.
Be prepared. Do well. I mean, enjoy the trip. Don't make a trip like, it will be remembered for the other side of the trip.
Yeah.
Enjoy the trip. Enjoy the nature. Don't disturb the nature. When you went, how is it? And leave it same as it is, the way it was there, and come back.
I think that's one of the most important things, that environmental footprint will be should be less when we go for trekking. And I think Hyderabad Trekking Club also ensures it, and we also have policies in place to keep our environmental footprint to minimum. So yeah, that's one amazing point. Thanks, Shekhar. Anything else you want to share with our audience?
So that's all. I think from this group who are mountaineering, then I suggest go and get trained. If you don't get 28 days, you take some short-term course. There are several institutes, the private operators also offering that course. Until unless you want a certificate, go to institute. Otherwise, there are several other people who are offering the course. Get the course done and then start your climbing journey or the high altitude treks. Even if you are going for the high altitude treks, get a basic medical test done. What is your RBC count in your body and what is your hemoglobin percentage in your body. So you will know whether you are going to be well on the mountain or not.
Oh.
Your RBC count should be minimum. And as I said, sickle cell. Anybody has that sickle cell syndrome, they never get acclimatized well on the mountain. Okay. Even though they spend 10 days in the same place, they don't get, because their body doesn't allow. So this kind of minimum preparations you take, it will be a safe journey and everybody enjoy the adventure.
Great. So thank you, Shekhar. It was an honor to have you here today, and I'm so glad for being able to host you today. So thanks for joining us. And keep inspiring us as always. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that was Shekhar Babu for all of you guys. So the trekking, we are expecting that it will resume before July end. Till then, please stay safe, stay home. Have a happy Sunday. Bye.